Today's episode of the Surf Connections podcast is brought to you by VicHealth and Surfing Victoria. Surfing Victoria acknowledges its head office is based on Wadawurrung country. We pay our respects to Wadawurrung people and their elders, past, present and emerging. We appreciate the coastline of traditional lands that we are able to surf and understand the importance of respecting country. We extend our acknowledgement to all the traditional lands that you are gathered on here today to listen to this podcast. Hello and welcome to the Surf Connections podcast. We hope to connect women and girls of all ages and cultures to share a passion and love for the ocean. I'm Angela King, your host for Surf Connection.
And I'm Monica Fleming, your co-host. We are super excited to bring this series to you as we are going to have the opportunity to talk to some incredible women and girls whose professions, career or lifestyle have evolved around the ocean and its waves. So these girls have essentially paved the way for us and many others. They are prime examples of what can be achieved within surfing for all of us.
Today we are really excited to share the story of a wonderful woman who's created a life around sharing the story of many other women and girls who love the ocean. She inspires women and girls by capturing all moments of surfing life, the travel and the lifestyle and the love. Welcome, Kate Myers.
Hello.
We're so stoked. We're so stoked to have you to have a chat and love your passion and the fact you've turned like this into a full-time career shooting surf, fashion, sharing others through your story and your camera lens. It's really, really awesome.
So, Kate, we know that you've recently started and launched the Click photography online. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But I would really like for you to share with us, like, probably where you grew up, how you got into surfing and sort of that, like, initial surf story for us.
Yeah, cool. So I grew up in Victoria. Love Victoria. Yeah. I grew up on the Mornington Peninsula. So, yeah, Mount Martha was my home for a long time, pretty much all my childhood. And I grew up in a family that, you know, my dad loved surfing, still loves surfing, and we would just always go to the beach like for holidays and, you know, in our spare time. And I've got a younger brother, so he's 2 years younger than me, and he was also madly in love with the ocean too. So I guess, and my mum, she was a beach babe. So we would just always our holidays were like to surf spots. I used to like love boogie boarding when I was a kid. And then like my brother was trying surfing and I was like, oh, I kind of want to try that. So I gave it a go and kind of fell in love with it from a pretty early age and fell in love with the surf industry. I was I was a massive Roxy fan when I was a kid. I was dressed head to toe in Roxy and you know, all the brands and I was really inspired by that lifestyle. Like I wanted to create a career in that. I think that was pretty prevalent from early on. Yeah.
Did you surf a lot with your brother and dad then, or?
Yeah. We would like always, go surfing, and it wasn't just, you know, on holidays, because I guess Mount Martha is probably like half an hour from the closest surf beach down in Gunnamatta. So we'd always go down there or the Phillip Island as well, Point Leo, and I really just fell in love with it. And I mean, I wasn't that good. Like,
no, it's still the love.
Absolutely. And like I was scared of like big waves. They weren't even that big. Like it was 3 foot, and I was terrified.
Gunnamatta's like
Gunnamatta's full.
Gunnamatta's pretty hectic. I remember growing, like my brother and my dad were really supportive, but they also pushed me as well, which is great, like in the water, because I needed that extra push, you know, with people around me going, go. I'm like, all right, I'm going.
So how did that kind of transition to you getting into photography? Like what was that?
So I definitely grew up not ever thinking about photography. I wasn't a kid that had a camera attached to them or anything like that. I just loved sport. I was a swimmer when I was a kid, so I spent a lot of my time in a chlorine pool, going up and down, following a black line. And in that time, I had a lot of time to think about what I wanted to do with my life. And I was a big lover of sport, so the transition. I finished high school and I actually went into a degree in sports science and sports management when I first left high school, because I was like, I want to be around sports people and athletes and kind of develop a career in that. And then halfway through that, I was like, oh, I have to, get a master's and like work in hospitals or things like it. Just the lifestyle of it was, I was like, oh, this isn't what I what I thought it was going to be. And I wasn't really that passionate about it, and I kept having my eye on the photography degree at RMIT. And I kept like coming back to that, and I was like, I think I want to do that. And I dabbled a little bit in photography in high school, but
like
not too.
Or something, and like you.
Like I did studio arts in year 12. But I was like, I didn't think that I could make a career out of that. But then I just became really like passionate about it all of a sudden, and I was like, all right, I need to make this swap. So
did you finish your sports management?
So I did 1 year. So I finished the year, and then I swapped at the end of that year and started a degree in photography. So I have a bachelor's degree in photography, which gets you not very far these days. But
going to uni and learning, like, did you learn a lot?
Like it was a really interesting time, because I was still living at home, but I was traveling up and back to Melbourne, every day on a train. And I remember sitting in the train being like, oh, I know that I really want to get out of this place. Like, I want tropics. I want like I was dreaming of a larger than life, like a big life, I guess. And I was like, all right, soon I just got to do this, finish my degree. So I feel like I'm pretty disciplined, and I didn't have a gap year or anything. I'm quite studious, I guess. So I was like, I need to finish this. I like to finish things that I start, and then so I guess I did learn a lot in that degree, but I learned a lot more like outside of it as well.
Interesting. It kind of did it open the gates for a life.
Yeah, it did. And like I was like pretty much the only girl that lived down the coast, so they called me beach girl. In uni. And that I'd every assignment was like a shot at the beach, or like and then I got my first water housing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and the water housing thing, like I was pretty much, I taught a lot about myself with that, and then that's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But there was no one sort of in your degree that was into the same sort of like capturing the same.
No, I remember when I went for my interview and I kind of had my folio, and they were like, okay, there's a girl that's just finished her degree here. Mm-hmm. Her name's Claire Plucan. And I was like, yeah, I know Claire, because she created First Love, which is that very first movie, the Rip Curl one back in the day. For me, and I remember
it was my childhood.
Yeah, me too. And I was like, it's giving me chills thinking about it. I remember like watching that and then like Googling like who made it and what their qualification was. And it said Claire had gone to uni. I think this is how that kind of came about. And I was like, cool, I want to do that. Like I want to, if she can do it, I can do it. So Claire was like my mentor at uni, and now we keep in touch now as well, because she's doing amazing things. And I was like, can I meet up with you for a coffee? Like when I was like 19, we met up in the city, and she was like, I used to shoot a few Rip Curl campaigns, and my eyes were just like, oh my gosh, like I want to do that. And then kind of went from there.
So cool. So I guess this is probably a nice little next question is, how did you, so you finished uni, what happened next? How did we get to now?
I know. It's hard to like pinpoint specific moments, but I finished uni, and in that final year, we were pretty much told to choose a subject and like shoot it and kind of come up with a folio at the end of the year. So I was like, cool, I've got a housing, I want to shoot women surfing. So I connected with a few surfers down in Phillip Island, Jess Lang, and a few others, and I just shot them. And that year I was doing I was kind of really developing my style, and I came up with this series of work, and I called it Washed Elegance. And that was my first book, because it was for uni, and then I was like, I can make this into a book. So I was like researching how to like get a book made. So pretty interesting. And I didn't have any fear. Like I just kind of went for it. People were like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to get 500 books made and see what happens. So at the end of that year, I had a exhibition, and I had, the book, and and then that went really well. My Instagram was growing. Yeah. And my boyfriend at the time and he was a photographer as well. And we were like, cool, let's move to Bali. Let's let's do this. So that next year after uni, we lived in Bali, and I got a lot of work there. And then that's also when I got my first Roxy gig as well. And that was insane. I was like, is this true?
That's it. Did they approach you, or was it just like by chance?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, there was a few like mutual friends, and an email dropped into my inbox one day, and they're like, hey, like, can you come and meet us down in Leggy? And I was living in Canggu. Like, we'd love you to shoot the girls. They're coming on a surf trip here in August. It was like a couple of weeks before that, and I was like, oh my God. So I went and met up. I went and met up with them. And I was like, I was shaking and so excited. And I was like, this is my dream. It's coming true. Oh my God.
Exactly.
And
so then after did that happen? From when you had that moment of going, oh, like I want to do this, like was it a quick period or like a couple years? Like you doing and thinking, I want to do this and do women surfing.
I think it was
around about, you reckon?
I feel like it was a few years.
Okay.
I just remember being like, when I was 16, 17, staring at campaigns that the brands had done and just going, I want that life. So they sucked me in with their marketing.
It worked.
They knew their target market, and they got
I was their target audience. And I was like, how do I want to create that, or be that or do that. So I kind of just found my way in somehow.
Awesome. It sounds like the thing is, a lot of people say, oh, like luck didn't it kind of just happened. You worked hard to get into it.
I have. And like that's when people are like, oh, you're really lucky, I'm like, yeah, I am, but I worked a lot to get to where I am. And it's like
you go.
I was just going to say, like, the photography lifestyle, like it looks pretty glamorous, and it is, but there's like a lot of, pretty hard moments as well, because it's like you're always on the go and you're traveling, and, you're away from friends, and you're missing, especially at this time, I'm 28, like I'm missing kind of key milestones, weddings and all that if I'm away and that kind of thing. But that's, I guess, the sacrifice you have to make.
So like when you were in Bali, was your photography was your full-time sort of gig?
Yeah. Because I guess like it was only had to support myself. So and Bali's pretty cheap living. So I was just freelancing.
Nice. And then so from your time in Bali and your first shoot with Roxy, what was that? What was that shoot like? Like, was it?
It was like, because I was scared, because I was pretty much shooting, these girls that I looked up to, but they're my age, which is kind of interesting. And we all got along like an absolute house on fire. Like, it was great. And we went out and surfed like airport rights or left or whatever it is, and surfed Ulus, and you know, my brief was just document everything that's happening. And I did, whilst having fun at the same time. So it was just really natural, and I I loved that. You know, I was pretty nervous the first day, second day, but then after that, you know, I was getting really good feedback from the team and the brand. So still have a great working relationship with that brand even today. So it was great.
Do you want to touch a little bit on how you went into working with WSL and that journey?
Yeah, like, so that was kind of my most recent thing, I guess, because that happened at the start of last year. And similar, like, thing, an email lands in my inbox 3 weeks out from the Gold Coast Pro. And I was like, oh my God, my heart starts racing. And I'm like, okay, here's the next challenge for me. And they were just, they asked if I wanted to come along and shoot a bit of the lifestyle aspect for the women's, just to see how I went. And I was like, absolutely. So did that at the Gold Coast event, and I think they were pretty happy with how I did. And then, you know, they were like, cool, do you want to do I did the Karamas event in Bali, and then
awesome.
I did the longboarding event in New York, and the wave pool, Kelly's wave pool, and then Maui this time last year, and then Jaws to finish it off. So awesome. Yeah, like it kind of just sparked, like, and then so this year I was like gearing up for a pretty, you know, hope like a good year with them again, and then, you know, everything crumbles. But it's amazing, and it's so different to, you know, you can still be creative with it, but you're essentially shooting action, you're shooting like real photojournalism type stuff, trying to capture really intimate moments with the surfers, which is also quite a challenge in itself, because you're in their space and you're trying to be respectful, but at the same time you're trying to capture photos. So it's like you have to have a quite an interesting relationship with them, I guess.
Especially because, like, it's competition time for them. Like, that's they're
time
for a reason.
To get your job done.
It's like I've learned a lot. Like last year, I just learned a lot, like professionally, and then even just like personally, just like watching these athletes. And, you know, as a kid that loved sport, it's kind of a match made in heaven. Like I and all the crew on tour are like amazing. They're all just super down to earth, natural people, and, you know, it's made me realize, like, you shouldn't put people on a pedestal. Like, we're all equal, and like that whole thing. I think because I would just idolize people, and then it's like, well, you know, they're human too. We're all human.
Back to exactly those you know, brand shoots, like with Roxy and it's Billabong as well. Have you worked for them? And
you have a little bit.
Yeah, cool. I had an experience myself. You wouldn't obviously know this, but I used to actually model for VicHealth. I was a team writer. So I used to do all type of shoots. I used to like go to all those, and something when I first got involved with that, I was so impressed how the photographers all day, like nonstop, sunrise before sunrise, like in all the most awkward positions, filthy. It's actually really hardcore. It's really
it is, and those long days, like we're at the WSL, we're like the first there and like the last to leave, like, because all those shots have to be edited and put out to the world then and there. But I think, like, even I've really had to think this year, I'm like, well, why am I able to do that? And I think that, like, discipline, I am pretty disciplined, and that has also come from, you know, I feel like that was a lot to do with swimming when I was a kid, because I was disciplined and motivated enough to get up, go train. Like, that sport culture when I was a kid actually has set me up for having, you know, these skills now. Like, pretty interesting.
Through the day, through the event. That makes sense. I don't think a lot of people realize, like, you know, the things you fell in love with, and like it's actually a big, massive effort, like days,
it is,
whatever, like, captured down into the moment that people go, oh.
And like, I love, like, we all stand, like last year, we're all like standing there watching pipeline just go off its head, and you can tell that everyone's just like, I love my job. Like, it's pretty incredible. Like, everyone that works for the WSL, they're all absolute legends and just love surfing, and everyone's there for the same reason. So, it's a dream job.
What was it like being around like other photographers that are essentially have the same passion, the same sort of drivers? Like, was that such a great environment to be around?
Yeah, it was like really cool. Like, I'm really good friends with a lot of the other photographers, because usually at an event there'll be 2 or 3 of us just running around like headless chooks trying to capture everything, and working in a team. And like, that's what I've loved coming into it as a freelancer, that I work on my own every day, to come into a team and be a part of like a big moving operation. I really like that. Without being like full-time employed by them. But yeah, like, we all kind of bounce ideas off each other, and it's pretty cool. It is like, I am the only woman in that environment as well. So, well, like photographer, which is cool. Like, but it is like, it's still quite male dominated. But
were there any struggles with that? Like,
no, not necessarily, but you can just still tell that the surf industry, like, it is still quite male dominated, like the people that even work behind the scenes. And I think the WSL are trying to change that. They're trying to get more women on board, more women, commentators and photographers and everyone, to kind of even that out and equal that out, because they're doing it with the surfers, but it's like, all right, let's try and do it with the staff as well. But yeah, like, it's funny because I kind of catch myself even putting on more of like a masculine persona, when I'm in those environments, and I have to like check in with myself and go, no, like, stop, like, bring soft energy to this, bring feminine energy to this, otherwise, like, I don't know, it's not as true to me.
Yes, no, that makes sense.
That's really, like, I feel like I find that in my role as well. Like, you kind of catch yourself being like, oh, hang on, I don't need to change my thought pattern because of the room I'm in. Like, my thought pattern is just as valid. Absolutely. Like, I think
that comes out of your mouth.
Mannerisms.
Yeah, it's really true. Like, we try, like, it's like, what are we trying to fit into? Like, our asset is our, like, I feel like a powerful female energy, but it's also, we're bringing softness to it too. So I have to constantly stop myself and kind of go, okay, like,
that makes sense. Nice how awesome you are and don't adjust to
absolutely.
No, I love that. So did we want to touch on your exciting, you do it. Okay, cool. It's called Click, isn't it? Awesome. So can you tell us a bit about that? I thought that was really interesting. I was looking up on the website and just researching it all.
I
think it's
last year, God, a lot of things happened last year, actually, now I think about it. At the start of last year, I was a bit lost with photography, actually. I felt like I was a bit, I was just kind of going through the motions with shoots. I wasn't like getting a whole lot out of it because I was finding it pretty easy and not that challenging. And I was like, I feel like I've got more to give. There's more, I want to broaden what I can bring to the table. And I was like, maybe I could do some workshops, because I have girls asking me, like, how do I get into surf photography? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I was like, I live in Byron Bay, which is a great place to do a workshop. I have great connections in the industry. It all just kind of came to me in one day. And I was like, oh my God, like, let's do workshops. So I was like, okay, let's create like a brand, and the Click name had kind of been in the back of my brain for a few years, but that just seemed really fitting. My brother's a graphic designer, so I was like, Jack, can you do up this logo? And I was emailing, Aquatech and Canon and everything all in this one day. I was like so excited. And then I was like, okay, I need to a space, and I need somewhere to do it, and I need 12 housings, and so logistically I was trying to figure all that out, and then I was like, I hope people buy it, and I released the first one and it sold out in 2 hours, and I was like, okay, we have a demand here for this.
Yes,
so yeah, it was great, and it was so rewarding. Like the first one I did was, I was pretty shaky, but it was incredible, and I was like, oh, I'm finding a lot of joy out of this. And then I was like, okay, let's keep the ball rolling. So I did a few more workshops, and then I was like, all right, maybe I could do an online course, because I'd seen, I'm interested in like marketing and like all that. I'd kind of been lured in by other people's online courses, and I was like, cool, like I could probably do this in photography. I feel like this space doesn't exist really for like female photographers. So yeah, I created the Fearless Photographer online course, which was pretty much like all my knowledge that I built up over the years, and packaged that into like a 5-module thing online. And then I released that, and then that went really well. And I'd always in the back of my brain wanted to build like a membership site, because I was like, this could really, take off. And I was like, literally at the start of this year, I was like, all I need is a few months to lock myself away and get this done. Then bam, COVID happened. And I was like, oh gosh, be careful what you wish for. So, I wasn't really making banana bread and, taking relaxing breaks during COVID. I was like stuck in my dungeon, just like, making this thing. Everyone was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm making this thing. And then, I'd been working on this like all year, and I launched the Click Community online platform, which is basically like a social network site for female photographers. So you can go in and make a profile and chat to other members. We've got groups that are based on like different photography genres, I guess. And it's amazing. It's going really well, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I need to employ like other people to help me with this.
That's so awesome. Oh my gosh. So the job you've got, are you finding percentage wise, like what do people kind of gravitate towards?
Like I guess the people that have followed my journey tend to be like female surf photographers that are trying to break into the industry, but then we've got like music photographers and people that love fashion and lifestyle, and and so I kind of want to, like, I didn't want to just corner it as surf, because that's a pretty niche industry. I wanted to make it like, if you have a camera and you like taking photos, then come and join us, kind of thing. So
there you go.
got big plans for it.
The beach girl originally uni. How the
beach girl.
What I called you? Originally uni.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like here you are, channeling and inspiring all this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know. I'm like, because with uni, I didn't really, like, I'd kind of just go to uni, get my stuff done and leave. I wasn't really like, I don't even know if the teachers would like remember who I am. But I feel like I've kind of just got it to its full potential, I guess, which is what I just encourage everyone to do, is like, don't waste your talent. If you want to go after something, then action it and actually do it. So
such a nice like little piece of advice, isn't it? Chase what you want to chase. I think I'd always like dreamt of it, like a really colorful, crazy life. Like I was like, I don't want to be safe. I want to like, and I love traveling. Like I find my comfort is actually being uncomfortable in a weird foreign country, like on my own. It's really weird. But I love planes, and I love like going places and kind of losing yourself in places, and Where's your next going to be once you're allowed back on a plane?
I don't know. Oh gosh, I've just been on a Queensland tourism trip, which was great. So I got to go on a little plane out to Lady Elliot Island, which was cool. But I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe like back to Indo or
you probably get
an
unexpected email drop. And there'll be
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. It's every time I'm like, oh, like I feel like work's kind of drying up a bit, and then bam, this email will come into my inbox and be like, hey, you want to come do this?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, sure.
Good karma.
Yeah.
Cool. So what about like surf related? Are you surfing much yourself in the water as well?
Yeah, like ever since moving to Byron, I'm surfing nearly every day, which is great. Like I loved surfing back at home, but I found I would get really frustrated because it's such a different environment down there. I feel like it's a lot.
Yeah.
You got big cliffs and everything's a bit more grander, and you've got bigger waves and it's cold. And I was like, oh, I don't like I'd always come out of the water feeling frustrated, whereas I come out of the water here feeling like amazing because I'm just longboarding on my little 2-3 foot waves and having a ball. And that was probably one of the main draw cards for me to move to Byron, because I was like, I actually just want to surf every day in a bikini. Like, I can't do that in Victoria, so I have to go north.
Up there because it's so hot, isn't it? So you've got to be in your like, otherwise there's no way you're in.
Yeah
you're just sweating it out.
No. Oh, and I feel like my cold threshold has like gone out the window. Like I'm going back home for Christmas and I'll put like a 4-3 on, still be freezing.
Very good, and your booties.
So yeah, everyone's like, oh, okay, oh god.
It would be like a 30-degree day, you're like, no, the water's ice cold.
yeah, I know.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So you're riding predominantly bigger boards now, or are you sure?
Yeah, I've got like a 9.6 log that I just pretty much use. I just don't really differ from that. I came up here with my shortboards and like I haven't shortboarded since. Like, it's weird actually. I kept trying to like, I'm like, oh, I need to stay on my shortboard to like, keep this up. Otherwise I'm going to lose all this, skill, but not that I had much skill, but I actually really like surfing my longboard on like, a bit bigger waves as well. So I just like having the heaviness underneath my feet.
It's nice. It gives you momentum and stability. Like I'm a longboarder myself.
Yeah.
You can ride it like small waves up to like 4 foot. People don't realize.
I kind of like when it's a bit bigger as well. It's a lot. You can do nice carves and stuff. So
especially on those days, it's like crystal clear water.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. So do you have a group of girls that you surf with regularly as well up there, or you just kind of?
Yeah. Like I moved up here not really knowing anyone, and then I just somehow made a few friends, and we're all actually from Victoria, which is funny. So it's cool. Like at home, back in Vico, I didn't really have too many like girlfriends that I would go surfing with. It was mainly just my brother and the guy friends that I have. But yeah, up here it's like my whole house surfs, and we all just get up and go all together, and it's cool. Like there's probably like 50-50 in the water of like females and males up here. So that's sometimes even like there's probably more girls in the water sometimes. Like,
how bad is that?
Cool. Yeah. It's super cool. Yeah.
Love that.
It must be nice being somewhere where like one, the water's warm, two, the waves are more suited for a board that you like to ride. But then you're surrounded by people that you really like, that enjoy.
Yeah. And like I find a lot of people that move to Byron, everyone's pretty like-minded and are doing it for the same reasons, whether it's like chasing a job or like just being somewhere warmer or like somewhere with waves constantly. Like there's never really a day that there's no waves. So
especially with all the time.
Yeah. And like I just found everyone's really like-minded. Like when I moved here, I was kind of intimidated and I was a bit like, I was like, oh, Byron's a bit sceney or whatever. But when you actually come in here, everyone's really open-minded and open to making friends. And it's a pretty cool community to be part of.
So rad. So you notice, obviously, you've kind of already said it, but you've noticed the difference in the water, the vibe-wise, with more women.
Yeah, definitely. And like I think just noticing my change in the water too. Like I really just wasn't having a good time in the water at home, which is like, whereas like, you know, my brother would be like, this is epic. I'm like, what is epic about this? I'm getting smashed. Like,
oh yeah.
Like I wasn't getting that same stoke that they were getting. I'm like, what's missing here? I don't know what's happening. So yeah, whereas up here, I come out of the water being like, refreshed, like feeling good. And, you know, there is a lot more people, but you can manage to get waves still. So
there's actually, obviously you'd be coming home, like you said. So there's actually been a real surge in women down here too, starting longboarding.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
You're saying, you know, like everyone seems to have that same response. It's like, because I can go surf the smaller fun waves, like, don't want to name all the spots, but you know, like down the coast, like, you know, Possos and things like that, and they're forgiving and it's easy and it's not like go out.
It's
like,
not
hardcore winky or belt.
hard. Yeah. And I think that's like you know, having men around me in the water was great because it did push me.
Of course, yeah.
But then I was like, why? Like, that's what they want to go surf. And it took me a while to actually realize, like, I actually don't want to surf like big waves like that. I just want to surf little waves, like Katie waves. That's what I call them. So, and then having, I guess, the courage to go and just find the spot where that is, and that is the pass.
So, love it. So good. We usually do a little question and stuff at the end. It's a little bit quirky. So
yeah, cool.
I want to know, so if your life was a book, what title would it be? Like what?
Oh,
and what blurb?
That's a good one.
What would it be about?
Wow. Yeah. Well, actually, funny you say that because one of my favorite quotes is, like, if you had a biography book written about you when you left, like, how would you like your story to go? It's like you are in the driving seat to create your story. And I would get really inspired by, like, you know, reading biographies of like crazy like athletes or all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I want one of these when I go. And I want people to be inspired by my story. So I think that's like, I stick to that. But back to your question. Oh God.
I have to say on top of that though, but people are inspired by what you've done.
Yeah. I hope so.
100% recognize, like, by just doing something you love. Like, that's obviously why we've got you here as well.
Yeah.
You're so talented, and the drive and everything, you know, that you obviously have is just really paying off. And I think it's really commendable.
Yeah, it's really nice hearing messages like that, because like sometimes I'm like, oh, why am I doing, like, why am I pushing myself so hard? Why? It's easy, you know, I want to go to the beach all day and have fun with my friends, but it's like, no, I have all this work to do. But you know, when I hear messages like that, it's like, all right, no, you like, it's all kind of worth it when you hear that you can inspire other people. So
you definitely are, definitely. Well, we can go back to the book. What would you give then your itself before you get the book title back? What would you give yourself, like, as a grom? What advice would you give yourself? Like, in those early days? Probably,
like, and I think I probably took this advice as a young kid as well, but I feel like for other people, like, have courage to chase after what you want, because a lot of people, like, everyone's got a dream of, oh, you know, I want to do this job. It's like, what's your dream job? Okay, cool, go after it. Like, because I feel like when you ask people, you know, and everyone's got different circumstances, and, you know, we have to work to make money to live and all that kind of stuff, but like, I also didn't like it when, you know, I'd ask people if they're in a uni degree, like, oh, I don't like going to uni, I don't like this. I'm like, cool, like, are you going to do something about it? Like, are you going to stop that degree? Why are you going? Who's making you go? No one. You can change. It's on, and people kind of start blaming other people. It's like, no, you are in the driving seat. It's all on you. It's your responsibility to get yourself out of those situations as well. So I'd probably just say, like, having that courage to really chase after what you want, because you can get there. Like, my story was like literally me dreaming of this life that I have, and now I'm living it. So it's possible.
There's your little blurb. Book as well.
Or is that the title? It's possible.
I don't know. It's possible. Maybe that's. I like that.
That's a nice little.
Yeah, nailed that.
Yeah.
Injection.
I mean, don't put words in your mouth. You can have a different title.
No, I like that. I think. Well, you might see a book called "It's Possible" soon.
I'd buy it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it would have lots of pretty pictures in it too, which would really
Yes.
rope me.
I like pretty pictures.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Kate, for coming along today. It's been
Yeah.
such a
No worries. It's been great chatting to you guys.